Before you press play, I have one warning for you. If you are satisfied with your current life, if you are comfortable repeating the same thoughts, the same habits, the same outcomes, and you do not want anything to change, then close this audio now. Leave. Because this is not a bedtime story. This is not background music. This is not relaxing content. This is a reset. And a reset is not gentle to the version of you that has been trained to stay the same. If you continue, do not listen with effort. Do not try to understand every word. The more you grip this with your conscious mind, the less it works. Your conscious mind is not where transformation is installed. Your conscious mind is where transformation is delayed. Tonight, you will do the opposite of what you have been taught. You will stop trying. You will let your system update itself. Place this audio by your bed. Let it play softly. Let the words pass through you like current through a wire. You do not chase the current. You allow it. From the moment you drift into sleep, this audio begins to do what willpower cannot. It reaches beneath thought, beneath habit, beneath the daily story you call me, and in the morning you will wake up in the same room, under the same sky, and it will feel subtly different, not because the world changed, because the receiver changed. I am Nikola Tesla. Do not come here for biography. I am not here to impress you with my past. I am here to translate a law that governs your present. The law is simple. Your mind is a receiver, and your life is the station you are tuned to. Most people speak to reality as if reality is deaf. They repeat the same hopes, the same wishes, the same prayers, the same plans. They demand, they plead, they chase, they exhaust themselves, and then they conclude the universe is indifferent. The universe is not indifferent. It is exact. A receiver does not receive what it wants. It receives what it matches. If you are tuned to worry, you receive more reasons to worry. If you are tuned to lack, you receive more proof of lack. If you are tuned to quiet certainty, you begin to receive outcomes that look like luck to everyone else. This is not superstition. It is the same logic that governs every transmission. If you and the signal are not aligned, the message does not arrive. The single core law you will carry from this moment forward is this: your reality follows your frequency, not your effort, not your anxiety, not your endless analysis, your frequency. Now listen carefully, because this is where most intelligent people make their mistake. They assume that because they can think, they can control the receiver with thought alone. They try to solve their life by thinking harder. They try to repair exhaustion with planning. They try to repair money stress with worry disguised as responsibility. They try to repair mental fog by forcing clarity, and the harder they force, the thicker the fog becomes, because force creates noise, and noise blocks reception. If you have been living with mental fog, money stress, and exhaustion, I will tell you the truth. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you are weak. It is interference. Interference is what happens when a powerful receiver is buried under noise. Noise from constant pressure. Noise from systems that reward urgency and punish stillness. Noise from conditioning that taught you to equate suffering with value. Noise from the daily broadcast of fear, comparison, and never enough. When your receiver is flooded with noise, it cannot hold a clean signal. You lose clarity. You lose energy. You make small choices from tension. You spend from fear. You work from panic. You sleep, but you do not recover. Then you blame yourself. You should not. You did not design the noise. You were trained inside it. You were trained to keep the mind busy, because a busy mind is easy to steer. A busy mind is predictable. A busy mind cannot hear its own signal. A busy mind mistakes pressure for purpose. It mistakes stress for seriousness. It mistakes exhaustion for progress. But the fact that you were trained does not mean you must remain tuned. Tonight, you will retune. not by arguing with your problems, not by forcing yourself into optimism, not by pretending you have no fear. You will retune by removing interference. That is all. When interference is reduced, the signal returns on its own. You do not command a radio to become clear. You clear the static. The broadcast was always there. You may think you are seeking peace. You are not seeking peace. You are seeking the frequency where peace is normal. You may think you are seeking money. You are not seeking money. You are seeking the frequency where money is handled calmly, received cleanly, used wisely, and no longer feared. You may think you are seeking energy. You are not seeking energy. You are seeking the frequency where your body is not wasting its power on internal alarms. Tonight, you will move toward that frequency. Sleep is the access window. Sleep is not a shutdown. Sleep is not a pause. Sleep is the moment the guard at the gate grows quiet. When you are awake, your mind is noisy. It is filled with the static of survival. Deadlines, doubts, regret, comparisons, fears, unfinished conversations, imagined disasters. Even when you are resting, a part of you is scanning, protecting, controlling. That is the conscious mind. It is useful in danger. It is destructive when it becomes permanent. Right before sleep, the guard grows tired. The filters soften, the grip loosens, and for a brief window, just before deeper sleep, the subconscious becomes open. Not open like a lecture hall, open like a door that stops resisting its own hinges. This is the moment when tuning becomes easy, not through force, through frequency. You may have heard names for these states. You do not need them. You do not need technical details. You only need to recognize a simple truth. There is a state where the mind stops arguing and begins receiving. That state is approaching now. And I want you to understand this clearly. If you feel sleepy while listening, you are not failing. You are succeeding. Sleepiness is not a distraction. It is the signal that the guard is loosening. So do not fight it. Do not stay awake to monitor the process. Monitoring is the old habit. Tonight, you do not monitor. Tonight, you surrender. Now, I will tell you what this reset does in simple terms. It quiets the noise. It loosens the old programs. It returns you toward a cleaner baseline. It does not demand belief. It does not demand effort. It demands only one thing, that you stop interfering with the receiver. That is why this is suitable for sleep, because the best listener is the one who stops listening. Now begin. Let the room be dim. Let the sound be low, but clear. Lie down in the position that asks the least from your body. And breathe. Slowly. No performance, no effort. Just breath. Inhale and feel the air enter as if the body is finally being allowed to live. Exhale and let the weight of the day drain downward. Again. Inhale. Exhale. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. Nothing you need to prove. Now soften the jaw. Let the tongue rest. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Let your hands release whatever they have been holding. Let the stomach unclench. Let the legs become heavy. Let the bed hold you completely. If thoughts arise, let them pass like distant traffic. They do not matter. They do not require response. They are noise leaving the system. One more slow breath, and with it, a single message to the receiver. Safe. Not safe as a story. Safe as a sensation. If you do not feel safe yet, do not force it. Simply let the body hear the message again. Safe. Now you may notice small tensions you have been ignoring, a tightness behind the eyes, a pressure in the chest, a clench in the belly, a restless vibration in the legs. These are not enemies. These are signals that the receiver has been running hot. Tonight, it cools. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyelids become heavier. Let the throat soften. Let the breath deepen without effort. With each exhale, imagine the body releasing a thin layer of static. You do not need to imagine perfectly. The subconscious understands intention. Static leaves, silence grows. Static leaves, silence grows. Now I will speak one truth that you have forgotten. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are transmissions. Some are useful, many are interference. If you have believed every thought, you have been living under constant intrusion. Tonight, you stop believing. You simply hear, and you let the receiver tune itself. Now, one visualization only. Simple, clean. Imagine a radio dial in front of you. Old, precise, quiet. You do not need to know what station you are on. You have felt it. The static, the strain, the constant sense of chasing. Now place your fingers on the dial and turn it, slowly, toward clarity. As you turn it, the static thins. Not all at once. Gradually, the signal becomes warmer. The noise loses its authority. You are not forcing anything. You are aligning. And as the dial settles into a new position, feel what happens in your body. The breath becomes easier. The chest becomes quieter. The mind stops bracing. This is the sensation of a receiver returning to its true setting. Now let the image fade. You do not need to hold it. The instruction has been received. Now, I will describe what interference has been doing to you so that you stop misnaming it. Mental fog is not stupidity. It is overload. When too many signals compete, the receiver becomes dull. It protects itself by reducing sensitivity. Money stress is not a moral failure. It is a frequency of threat. When money feels like danger, you handle it with fear. You rush, you avoid, you obsess, you leak energy through tension. The receiver interprets money as threat and stays guarded. Exhaustion is not laziness, it is constant internal resistance. Resistance is expensive. A mind that is fighting itself burns energy without producing signal. Now listen closely. The noise that created these states did not originate in you. It was installed by repetition, by pressure, by expectation, by environments that trained you to stay alert even when you are safe, by systems that profit from your urgency. You do not need to hate those systems. Hatred is also noise. You only need to recognize them so you stop blaming yourself. You have been trained to confuse interference with identity. Tonight, you separate them. You are not the interference. You are the receiver beneath it. Now, as the body grows heavier and the mind grows quieter, I will offer your subconscious a cleaner baseline. Not a dozen ideas. One idea, repeated in different angles until the receiver accepts it as obvious. You are a receiver, you are a receiver, and what you receive depends on what you match. Tonight, the matching changes. The matching becomes calmer. The matching becomes cleaner. The matching becomes steadier. The matching becomes less afraid. You do not become a different person by force. You become a different receiver by tuning. Now, there is a common fear. Some part of you believes that if you become calm, you will lose your edge. You will become careless. You will stop achieving. You will stop protecting yourself. That is the old program. The old program believes stress is intelligence. It believes worry is responsibility. It believes pressure is proof you care. I will correct that. Stress is not intelligence. Stress is interference. Worry is not responsibility. Worry is noise pretending to be useful. Pressure is not proof. Pressure is an alarm that never learned how to shut off. Calm is not weakness. Calm is a clean signal, and a clean signal is power. Now, you may be drifting. Good. If you lose a sentence, good. If you stop tracking meaning, good. Meaning is conscious. Tuning is deeper. Now, I will speak to the receiver directly. You do not need to repeat. You do not need to confirm. You do not need to agree. You only need to allow the sound to pass through. The receiver learns through exposure. It learns through rhythm. It learns through repeated contact with calm. So I will speak in calm. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to reset. You are allowed to release what is not yours. You are allowed to wake with clarity. You are allowed to feel steady with money. You are allowed to move through the day without dread. You are allowed to have energy without forcing it. You are allowed to feel light without explaining why. Notice what happens when those sentences land. The body softens, a subtle release. That release is the beginning of your new tuning. Now, remember the radio dial. You already turned it. But tuning is not one dramatic twist. It is a gradual return. A receiver does not snap into perfection. It settles, it stabilizes, it holds, and that holding is what changes your day, because when you wake with a cleaner signal, you do not need to do much to see different outcomes. You respond differently. You notice differently. You choose differently. Your perception stops filtering for threat and starts noticing opportunity, not because you force positivity, because the noise is lower, and what was always there becomes visible. Now, I will describe tomorrow in a way that is realistic and yet precise. You will wake and notice the absence of something first. The absence of immediate dread, the absence of immediate pressure, the absence of a mind racing to catch up to an invisible deadline. You may still have responsibilities. This is not a fantasy, but the way your body holds those responsibilities will be different, a little calmer, a little cleaner. You will notice that some thoughts that used to hook you feel weaker, as if their grip has loosened. You will notice a small increase in space between stimulus and response. That space is power. You may find yourself making one decision without overthinking. You may find yourself handling money with slightly more steadiness, slightly less fear. You may notice you are less tempted to sabotage your own progress with sudden doubt. You may notice your energy feels more usable, less scattered. These are not miracles. They are signs of reduced interference. Now, because you are intelligent, you may attempt to dismiss these signs as placebo, mood, randomness. You may attempt to explain them away to stay safe in your old identity. That is normal. That is the guard trying to reclaim control. Tonight, you will not argue with that voice. You will not fight it. You will simply let it be. And you will return to one core law. Your mind is a receiver, and your reality follows your frequency. Now, a final instruction, short and ritual-like. When you wake, if you notice even one subtle shift, write this single sentence in the comments. Reset complete. Only that. No story required, no explanation required. A quiet marker, a simple contract between you and the receiver. Reset complete. Now let your eyes become heavier. Let the breath become automatic. Let the jaw loosen again. If you are still awake, you do not need to force sleep. Sleep will arrive when interference is low enough, so you continue to lower it. Each exhale releases another layer. Each exhale tells the nervous system it is finished for today. Each exhale tells the receiver it can stop scanning. Now imagine the darkness behind your eyelids as a deep, warm field. Not empty, not threatening, a field. In that field, the receiver rests. In that field, tuning happens without effort. In that field, the day dissolves and the system resets. If thoughts come, let them drift like small clouds crossing a night sky. You do not chase them. You do not judge them. You let them pass. And you return to breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now, I will speak the core law one last time, so it lands beneath language. You are a receiver. You receive what you match. Tonight, the matching becomes calm. Tonight, the matching becomes clear. Tonight, the matching becomes steady. And in the morning, you will not need to force change. You will simply notice you are tuned differently. Good night. Sleep gently. Let the reset continue in silence. And when you wake, remember, reset complete. You will not need to convince anyone. You will not need to prove anything. You will simply live from a cleaner signal. That is enough. Good night.